Okay, it looks like Good afternoon. This is Juan, the Portuguese interpreter. Can you guys hear me? Nope.
Hi, Juan, we can hear you. I'm going to put you into the interpretation room.
Sure. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Zreich. I am the superintendent of schools in Salem. And we're going to just make some announcements about interpretation before we kick off. Si alguien necesita interpretación en español, por favor, utilice el botón con la imagen del mundo en la parte baja de la pantalla.
And I can say that in Portuguese. Se alguém precisa de ajuda com interpretação, você pode usar nos controles do Zoom o botão do mundo ou do globo. Se você apertar aí e você aperta em português, você pode ouvir o português interpretado.
Okay, so we want to welcome all of you to our early childhood expo. It's not just kindergarten anymore. It's our early childhood expo so that you can learn more about our amazing portfolio of early childhood programs in the Salem Public Schools. And more importantly, we're honored to welcome you and your child to the Salem Public Schools family. And you're going to learn a little more about our family here tonight. And we're just delighted that you're here to joining in with us for this session. And so as I introduced myself before, I am the superintendent of schools, Dr. Steve Zreich, and I'm halfway through my third year in this role and working in the city of Salem. In a moment, I'm going to introduce my talented colleagues and fellow educators in the Salem Public Schools who are all over your screen and boxes. But first, I want to provide some context about our school system and provide an overview for the evening. In the Salem Public Schools, we are fiercely committed to three core values: belonging, equity, and opportunity. We believe that all members of our community are valued when we build relationships centered on empathy and respect. We believe in promoting social justice and access for all students so that they consistently feel empowered and engaged. And we believe firmly that all students should receive a personalized learning experience where they achieve academic success, find joy, and develop the skills to be successful in their college or career path. This is an incredibly dynamic and exciting time to join the Salem Public Schools. And I want to tell you why. This is my perspective, but I certainly believe that there's a lot of positive momentum here. We were just accepted into the state school construction program, and we'll be building a new state-of-the-art facility at the Salem High School site over the next 5 to 7 years. A facility that your children, without question, will benefit and will be well in advance of their time as they move through the Salem Public Schools. We continue to increase access to and improve the quality of the early childhood programs that are full day, free, and honor the development of the whole child in the Salem Public Schools. And you're going to learn more about that tonight. Our elementary schools are strong and they balance academics focused on developing foundational literacy skills, conceptual and mathematical skills, with an explicit focus on the social and emotional competencies for students to be successful humans in school and in life. And we are in the midst of an exciting process to reimagine the middle school space, which a lot of districts don't spend a lot of time focused on, but we want to look at how we can create a space in our middle schools that aligns to our core values as a school district and bridges the all-important years between elementary and high school. At the high school level, our career and technical programs are booming with record enrollment, and close to 40% of our high school students take early college classes while in high school. Just today, our program was featured on WBUR, our early college program, and the benefits that it provides young people as they accumulate credits in high school before they move on to college. And finally, we offer one of the strongest arts programs across the state in music, visual arts, and drama. These are just some of the things that make us unique, and we believe a strong choice for families in the city of Salem. Just a couple of reflections and thoughts before I go through what the night is going to look like here. This might feel really overwhelming, the process, but there are so many good choices for families here in Salem. We have multiple choices in schools that offer so much to our students and families. The portfolio is broad. A few years ago, we would have only been able to feature our kindergarten program and a few pre-kindergarten programs. But now we have a multitude of programs for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and of course, 5-year-olds. Really encourage families through this whole process, beginning tonight, which we kick off here tonight, is to find the match and fit that best for your child. I don't think there's a wrong choice. The best choice is one where you feel as a parent that it's the best match for your child. You can see your child benefiting from being part of the culture at the school you choose. And a benefit in Salem is we have choice, and it gives you the opportunity to make sure you find that match. And in the end, speaking of a parent who has a child turning 13 tomorrow, a teenager for the first time, it all works out, right? It all works out, and the stress you may feel, the anxiety about this process, in the end, you realize that it will all work out for your child. And we are here to support you beginning with tonight's event. So with that, tonight's program, we're going to start with an overview of our early childhood philosophy and our program models, which will give you a good context about what we offer. We're going to provide some details about the registration process and timeline. And again, all this information is you can find on our website, and we'll direct you to where that is. And then we're going to end the night with a question and answer, and we'll do our best to answer all your questions. I'm going to moderate, and we have many of our talented staff members who can answer questions that might arise here tonight. So with that, I want to take a moment to introduce the folks that are with us. Maybe if we could take the slides off the screen for a moment so we can see everybody's face. Okay, great. And so what I'm going to ask is when I call your name that you wave so people know who you are. I know it's also listed in your underneath your picture, but I'll start with in alphabetical order. Our Bates principal, Mr. Gavin Softick. Our Bentley Innovation School principal, Miss Elizabeth Rogers. Okay, you can see the big waves in the screen there. Our Carleton School principal, Beth Ann Jellison. Our Horace Mann Laboratory School principal, Miss Jennifer Windsor. Our Witchcraft Heights Elementary School principal, Miss Sue Carmona. And from Saltonstall School, Mr. Michael Lister. So there are our principals for you that we've just introduced, and I'm going to introduce some other folks that are on the screen so you know who they are. Our Deputy Superintendent, Miss Kate Carboni. Our Executive Director of Employee, Family, and Community Engagement, Dr. Ruben Carmona. Miss Amy Richardson, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Miss Laura Assad, our Director of Family Engagement. Miss Sayonara Reyes, our Manager of the Parent Information System, Center. And then from Transportation, our Transportation Coordinator, Miss Vanessa Fagundes. Our Director of Multilingual Learning in Salem Public Schools is Mr. Andre Fonseca. The newest member of our team, who is now was a former nurse in the district and now our Director of Health and Nursing Services, is Miss Jane Morrissey. Our Executive Director of Special Education is Miss Linda Farinelli. And our Director of Food and Nutrition Services is Mr. Irv Perrin. And our Director of Out of School Time is Taylor McDonald. And I just realized that we did not introduce our principal of the Early Childhood Center, Miss Leanne Smith. She's got all the littlest learners here in the Salem Public Schools, or the most little learners. And I just want to, and Jensen Frost is with us, who is the executive assistant to Deputy Superintendent Carboni, and who has orchestrated tonight's session and organized it for us. And then our Chief of Public Relations, Miss Liz Pulley-Wettengale. Did I miss anybody here? Doesn't look like it. Okay. So that is who is here to answer your questions later on in the evening. And I believe I'm turning it over to Deputy Superintendent Carboni, who's going to take us through the information portion of tonight's program.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Zreich, and welcome everyone. I'm so glad that so many of you have been able to join us, and I'm really excited about the strong opening and overview that Dr. Zreich gave to the Salem Public Schools, because while this may be about early childhood programming, you're making a big decision today, and pre-K and kindergarten is just the start to a long journey of a relationship with our school district, and we want you to know how diverse and dynamic our offerings are. So hopefully that laid a really good foundation for you. As Dr. Zreich said, I am Kate Carboni. I'm the Deputy Superintendent here, and I'm happy to welcome all of the parents and guardians and family members to this evening's session. I do want to point out that we're happy to take your questions, and there is a Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen that you can enter questions as we go through the night. And we, as Dr. Zreich said, we will conclude with a question and answer session, and we will get the questions from that Q&A feature. So I just wanted to point that out. So as Dr. Zreich said, I just reiterate a couple of things. Our goal tonight is to provide you information about our programs and enrollment processes. But most importantly, we want to create a sense of excitement about your child coming to our early education programs in the Salem Public Schools. And it's really important to us that we help you feel comfortable and secure as you go through the enrollment process. It can be feel a little daunting, and our primary goal tonight is to really demystify that for you and lay out the steps really clearly and point you to the direction where you can get more information. So we're not only going to tell you about our programs and what is common across our programs, we're going to outline the registration process, and then we'll end the night with a walk through our website, where it just has like a bunch of information that you can access from home about our programs, and then also tell you about how you can set up some visits to schools to learn more on site at our schools. So Dr. Zreich already kind of outlined this a little bit, but I'll go a little deeper. Salem Public Schools offers 3 distinct early childhood programs. We have a program for 3-year-olds, and these seats are part of our integrated preschool program at the Early Childhood Center. And Leanne Smith is the principal of that program. The 3-year-old program is a half-day program, and the hours of that program next year will be 8:45 to 12 o'clock. We have pre-K seats available for 4-year-olds. Pre-K programs are at 2 schools currently, at the Bates School and at the Horace Mann Laboratory School. Our pre-K children attend full day like all the other students in the school. So they follow the same hours or attend school the same hours as the other children in that school. So the same start and end times. During the registration process, we invite families and you are offered an opportunity to select your preference of location. And if we can meet that request, we will. It's really important for families to know that neither the 3-year-old nor the 4-year-old programs are universal. And what that means is that there is not a seat for every child. Seats are limited. And if we end up having more applications or applicants than we have available seats, what we do is a lottery. And we assemble a wait list after we fill all of the seats. And we're going to tell you more about that a little later. Our kindergarten program, on the other hand, is universal. And we have a seat for every child who is a Salem resident and wants a seat. All 6 of our elementary schools offer kindergarten programs. The kindergarten program at the Bentley Innovation School is part of our dual language program. And we will say more about that specialized kindergarten program shortly. So there are some mandatory criteria for who is eligible for our early ed programs. Eligible kindergartners must be 5 years old by August 31st, 2023. All children are guaranteed a seat. Students looking to attend our pre-K programs must be 4 years old by August 31st, 2023. And for our 3-year-old program, the child must be 3 years old by August 31st. And as I mentioned already, I just want to reiterate, we do have limited seats for pre-K and our 3-year-old programs. So now that we've outlined what programs are in our portfolio of offerings, I want to highlight some features that are common across our programs and tell you a little bit about our curriculum and what the children will experience during an average day in one of our early ed programs. So the curriculum at our early grades is designed to promote discovery and independence and teamwork. So our classrooms are set up to support children as active learners. If you were to visit one of our early ed programs or our pre-K or our kindergarten, you might see students working in centers, enjoying books, illustrating stories, listening to a read aloud, singing songs about the weather, doing puzzles to learn about their shapes, or just brainstorming a list about holidays. You'd see all kinds of different activities. We take great pride that our early learning spaces foster peer interaction and joyful learning and inquiry. Another centerpiece to our early learning curriculum is the arts. And as Dr. Zreik said in his comments, we have a state-of-the-art, really robust arts program throughout our pre-K to 12 offerings. And that starts with our little ones. So our youngest learners, they experience music program, art, and physical education. And these specialty areas really enhance the learning and content while also developing children's appreciation of the arts and teamwork and wellness. In our early learning spaces, children learn in different formats. There are times when there will be some whole class work with the teacher sort of leading that and facilitating that. And there are other times when children will be learning in small groups or playing and working independently. So there's a variety of modalities. It's not just, our children are not sitting in desks, facing the front of the classroom. Our classrooms are really dynamic. There are a lot of materials in our classrooms that foster inventive playing with each other and a lot of creativity and inquiry. On this slide, you can see what a typical day might look like for our early learners. Each day starts with a morning meeting. It's kind of a nice way to ground the day and bring kids to the rug and start the day out. During the morning meeting, children review the schedule for the day. And it's also a time when the teacher focuses on building community through helping children build relationships with their peers. As you can see, throughout the day, there are times for children to learn and play and go outside. We try to get outside as much as we can. Even if the weather is, not so great, we do go outside. We have outdoor classroom spaces at all of our elementary schools where teachers will facilitate learning and play outside of the classroom. And as I mentioned already, each day, the children go to either art, music, or physical education. And although we do find that our little ones are pretty tired at the end of the day, we do offer after-school programming for pre-K and kindergarten. And for preschool, we will ask, there'll be a space on the application where you can indicate if after-school programming is important to you, because at present, we do offer after-school programming at 2 of our sites and not at the 3rd, because we didn't have enough interest to, to have a program across all sites. So now I think I'm handing it off to Andre.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. I'm excited to share about our dual language program at Bentley. In most of our dual language presentations, you would normally see me read slides in both English and Spanish, but since we have simultaneous interpretation happening tonight, I'll stick to reading them in English. So I'm excited to share that in dual language, students learn all of the core academic subjects, such as math, science, social studies, and literacy in English and Spanish. In kindergarten specifically, students learn all of these subjects in Spanish primarily, because 90% of the kindergarten school day is taught in Spanish to build a strong foundation in Spanish for their future years of schooling. The program is open to children who speak Spanish as well as English and other languages as well. We welcome all language backgrounds in the dual language program. In terms of seats, we have 50 seats in the dual language program for kindergarten. If we receive more applicants than we have seats for, then we would hold a lottery for those seats and assemble a wait list after that lottery is complete. So more about the way the program works. Like I mentioned earlier, students in kindergarten spend 90% of their day learning in Spanish. They learn all of their subjects in Spanish, including math, science, social studies, and literacy. And then every year, the amount of English instruction increases by about 10%, as you can see in this graphic. And the reason we do this really is twofold. The first reason is that deep exposure to Spanish in kindergarten will help our students develop a strong foundation in Spanish that they wouldn't build otherwise. And the second reason is that Spanish is the more transparent language, which means that words are written exactly as they sound. And learning a transparent language like Spanish first is easier and allows students to learn linguistic skills that they can transfer over to learning English. Okay. And I think with that quick introduction to the dual language program, I'll turn it over to Sayonara, who will discuss the registration process. And if there are further questions about dual language at the end, I'll be happy to answer them.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, I'm Sayonara Reyes, manager of the Parent Information Center. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here as well to answer any questions. I will be going over the registration process for preschool, pre-K, and kindergarten. The age requirement was already mentioned. I'll just repeat it quickly. For preschool, students need to be 3 years old. For pre-K, 4, and for kindergarten 5 by August 31st of 2023. All students entering the Salem Public Schools are assigned according to our controlled choice student assignment policy. This policy allows parents options for selection of their schools or the schools that their child will be attending. Next slide. The registration process consists of 3 steps. The first step is to choose 3 schools. So you might ask yourself, how will I choose 3 schools? Well, We encourage families to visit the early childhood website, review the online information that we've provided. As Dr. Strike said, there is a lot of information online. Next, we highly recommend that you attend the Zoom information sessions with principals and attend the school tours and visits. Also, another thing that I tell parents is to take into consideration the hours of schools are in session. That might help you also select certain schools. Schools do have a different start time and an end time, so that's something to look at. Next slide. So step 2 is the online registration. Salem Public Schools online registration is hosted through the Aspen Student Information System. At this time, you cannot complete the form on a cell phone or a tablet. If you don't have access to a computer or internet, please visit the Parent Information Center at Collins Middle School and we'll be happy to assist you. Our office is equipped with computers, Chromebooks, and staff that will support you and help you throughout the process. If you're unable to come to the Parent Information Center, you can also give us a call and we can schedule a family engagement facilitator to meet with you. That can happen at any of the elementary schools, at PIC or even off-site. Just give us a call and we will set that up for you. At the end of the online registration, you'll have the opportunity to upload the required documents. The documents are 2 proofs of address in Salem, your child's birth certificate, the latest physical exam with updated immunizations, and the parent's ID. Next slide. The third step would be to confirm your child's school placement. Once we process all applications, you will be receiving your assignment by email. We ask that you confirm your child's assignment within 2 weeks of receiving your school assignment. If you're declining a seat, we also need to know this as well. Kindergarten assignments are made using the elements of our student assignment policy. The criteria we used is sibling priority, choice of school, socioeconomic balance, and proximity to the schools you choose. In most cases, students are assigned to one of your 3 choices. If your child is not assigned to your first choice, he or she will automatically be placed on a waiting list. The waiting lists are maintained through September 30th. Next, we have the time chart for deadlines. The deadline for sibling preference, this is very important. If you would like your child, your incoming kindergartner, to attend the same school as another child that you have in the school district, you need to apply by February 27th. This, however, does not apply for pre-K because in pre-K, it's all lottery-based, so there is no sibling preference. The deadline for batch 1 is March 20th with a notification date of May 1st. Batch 2, deadline is June 26th, notification date by July 10th. After June 26th, all assignments will be processed as they come into our office. The first lottery for the dual language program, preschool and the pre-K program will be held on March 20th, and the notification date is also May 1st. The second lotteries, if we need to do a lottery for the dual language. It is scheduled for June 26th. And lastly, we'll have another one August 7th if necessary. I want to mention that you'll be able to have access to register beginning tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, the IT department has told me that you'll have access. The registration for next year will be up and running. I want to thank you for your attendance here tonight. If you have any specific questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at the Parent Information Center. I will be more than happy to discuss any questions or concerns you may have. Again, thank you.
Right, so this is the last slide, I promise. Actually, it's not. We have a little demonstration of our website following this. I did want to share with you that we have a number of ways that you can learn more about our schools. As Sayonara mentioned, our process, involves a choice process where you would identify your top 3 choices. And so we want to give you many opportunities to get to know more about our schools. So tonight was just an overview to the programs that are available and the registration process. But starting in February, we would, and March, have opportunities for you to not only hear from our principals, so we'll have some evening Zoom sessions, so online sessions that you can join from home to learn, to hear from the principal of each school, and you can see the schedule down below, and those will all be at 7 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. They will all be recorded and then posted to the school's websites and to the district website. So if you're not able to attend, a particular school or a particular night, you don't need to worry about that because you'll be able to access the recording from our website, and we'll show you where you can access those in just a moment. In addition to that, we think it's important to give family members opportunities to visit the schools and actually get inside the schools and visit classrooms, meet the principal and other staff members, including the teachers, in person, and then also see what a classroom looks like. So we will have an opportunity for you to set up school visits, and those will happen during the weeks of March 6th and 13th. And all of this is happening before you need to submit your application by the deadline. And so we will go over the process by which you would schedule the school visit, and that will be by contacting the school and the family engagement facilitator. So I'm going to turn things over to Jensen, who is going to show you where to access information about our early learning programs on our website. So this was a recording. I don't hear anything.
Hold on just a minute. We're going to test the audio for that. All right, there's some technical difficulties with the audio for that. But I can talk you through it anyway.
Button at the top of the webpage.
So you'll choose your language and you'll hover over the families dropdown and head to the early learning programs page. Once it gets there. Here is our early learning platform. So here you're going to find all of our current and upcoming events that we're hosting, including tonight's town hall, our information sessions, which is where you can find the Zoom links so you can learn a bit more about our schools with our principals, and then the in-person school tours and visits. And the contact information to book your tour is listed below. As we continue down the page, in the middle, you'll see links to all of our schools that offer kindergarten programs, pre-kindergarten programs, and then some additional information regarding our preschool and Parent-Child Plus program is featured here. And at the end, you'll see that there's a bunch of information for content regarding kindergarten learning, kindergarten readiness, and other content for early learning. Tonight's focus is on the sidebar. On the left side panel, you'll see a lot of resources for our families. You'll get more detailed information for our Parent-Child Plus program and for our pre-kindergarten program, which you can find under the early learning programs and registrations dropdown. And tonight we're going to look at the kindergarten registration information, which we've already spoken to tonight, but just so you can see it on our website. You'll see the enrollment process listed here in a multi-step process, the documents listed that you need to submit with your application, choosing a school for your child and the offerings that we have for kindergarten, application deadlines and dates, and then some frequently asked questions, which much of this information has been covered tonight, but we'll also be able to add more questions with our Q&A that we get tonight to the website. Our early learning resources page is kind of a one-stop shop where you'll find all available print materials in our recorded sessions. Every offering that we are providing to you that is showing a recording will be uploaded here to this page. And then just another overview of where you can find the links to the school information sessions and the information for our school tours. And then heading back up to the top, as you're exploring your options and doing your research, you can find our school websites at the top by hovering over the schools tab. And you'll see all of our schools across the district are listed here. So as you're interested in navigating to the different schools, you can just click on them and it'll take you into the individual websites for all of our schools that we have across the district. Our website is full of great resources. We encourage you to explore it some more, take a look around, not just for the early child components to it, but just for any updated information. We encourage you to visit it frequently.
Jensen, can you just show family members how they can get the content in a different language? On the website? Jensen, did you hear me? I guess not. Okay, I think that concludes the presentation. I did just want to point out that our website is fully has a translation feature in it. Up at the top, you can select a language that you would like the content on the website to be translated to. So,
And Kate, can I just make one comment about special education?
please.
Sometimes some of our students that are going to kindergarten are recommended by their team and family for a program that's at a specific school. So if that's the case for one of your children, that you'd be applying to schools, you need to think about that, because it would the choice might be limited if there's a program at a certain school where your child, it's recommended and the team has decided and you've decided that this program is the best fit. Of course, you can look at all the programs in all the schools, but sometimes that's one thing we need to think about for kids that are in kindergarten, going to kindergarten. Some of the students coming out of ECC might be recommended for a specific school that has supports available specifically for your child. So if you have any questions or you need anything answered regarding special education, you can always reach out to the special education office and also to the ECC, and they can answer any of your questions regarding that.
Okay, thanks for that, Linda. And so
You're
that
welcome.
concludes the presentation. So I think maybe we stop sharing the slides. I do see that there are many questions in the Q&A, so I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Zreik, who will moderate the questions.
All right, this is gonna be fun. We got a lot of questions. We got a lot of people to answer them. If I direct it I'm gonna try to direct it to the person I think is best suited, but feel free to chime in if you have additional information about the question, okay? We're gonna try to get through as many of these questions as we can. So let's see, there's a question here about after-school programs for next year for pre-K. Are we gonna make any changes to where after school will be available? Is it just at Bates? What's the plan for next year with after school? So Deputy Superintendent Carboni, I'm going to give that one to you. We can make you a doctor here tonight. If you want.
I'll take it. I'll take
Okay.
it. Thank you for that question. So what on the preschool application, there is a box for parents and families to check off if you are interested in the extended day. And based on the interest, we will determine how many sites that we run those at. So it'll be at least 2 of our 3 sites. So we have pre-K classes at the ECC, at Bates, and at Horace Mann. Last year, we didn't have enough interest to run them across all sites. I mean, there is a cost associated to that, and we do offer the programs free of charge. So we have to be, careful and make sure, that we aren't, we're running enough programs to meet the need, but not too much. So it will all depend on interest from families.
Great, thank you. There's a few questions here about if my child enrolls in a pre-K or gets accepted into a pre-K program, do they automatically attend kindergarten in that school? Do they have to re-enroll for kindergarten? So I'm going to ask that question to Ms. Reyes or Sayonara. Can you address that question?
Sure. Preschoolers do not have to register again. We don't want to duplicate the records in the Aspen system, but I will be emailing everyone who have children in the pre-K program, because you do have to choose 3 different schools. It's not automatic. You do need to make your choices, and you have to follow the kindergarten registration process. Again, you do not have to duplicate the record. You do not have to register again online. I will be contacting everyone so that you can make your choices, and it'll be I'll be giving you a link in which you can enter your choices.
Okay, so they don't have to fill out all the paperwork again, but they do have to apply. Again, they have to apply for choices for kindergarten. So just want to make sure people understand that you're not automatically enrolled in the program, in the pre-K, in the school where your child's in pre-K. You have to reapply. There's a question here about seats for 3-year-olds. So I'm going to ask this question to Ms. Smith. There's a question about how many seats do we have available for 3-year-olds?
Hi, we have 4 3-year-old classrooms at the Early Childhood Center. Each of those classrooms have 15 students in them, but they are integrated classrooms. So that means that there are peer students learning alongside of students with disabilities. So we have 15 spaces in in 4 classrooms, but all of those spaces, each classroom is allotted 8 peer spaces. So there's 32 3-year-old peer spaces in at the Early Childhood Center.
Great, thank you. This question is, let's see. Yeah, this question is about also enrollment, Ms. Reyes. I have an older child already enrolled. Their parent has an older child enrolled in the Salem Public Schools. Does that parent still need to submit 3 choices for schools if they want their second child at the same school?
I would say that if you are submitting your application by the deadline, by the sibling deadline, which is February 27th, you should be good with just the 1 choice.
Okay. There's a question here about aftercare for pre-K, so the after-school program. Can somebody tell the audience, what are the hours for the after-school care for pre-K?
I think Taylor could do that. Taylor, if you wouldn't mind, talk about the hours and maybe a little bit about what the kids are doing during that time.
Yeah, so the hours, the program starts right at school dismissal. So at Bates, that's 1:40, and the program runs until 5 o'clock. And then at the ECC, the program starts at 2:50 and runs until 5 o'clock as well. We partner with some community partners. We have Inclusion Sports working with the students for an hour doing gross motor skills. And then we also partner with Artful Life in our out of school time program. And we hire SBS staff to run those programs.
Okay. Thank you. There's a question here about transportation. And does every child qualify for transportation, including preschool? So I'm going to turn that over to our Director of Transportation.
So at the moment, we do not currently provide transportation for pre-K. We do provide transportation for K through 12. It is based primarily on grade and mileage. So for kindergarten, it would be over a mile. So if your student lives over a mile from their school, they get transportation. We do not provide transportation under a mile. And you would basically go through the same process, the same way that you're going through Aspen to register for kindergarten, you would apply for transportation in Aspen as well. So after you register, I would wait maybe a couple of days until everything's all set in Aspen, your account has been created, and then you can go in and apply for transportation as well. And there is no fee for transportation. And let me see, I'm just trying to give a gist of everything. Yes, and so we will open transportation up in May, and it will run through the first week of July. So that is the timeline for transportation. So applications after July 1st, you know, we really encourage everyone to apply within that deadline because we have to, you know, begin routing and preparing everything for the fall. So we really encourage everyone to get their application in as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. I have some questions for some principals here of the who serve early ed programs. So let me ask Mr. Softic, question for you. Can you talk a little bit about the lunch or snack at preschool, at the preschool level? Do they get a lunch and do they get a snack?
Yeah, so all students in the pre-K program get the school-based lunch that all the other students K through 5 receive. And they also are part of the snack program, which is oftentimes fruit, which is available to them throughout the day as well. That also includes breakfast in the morning when they come in. So that's breakfast, lunch, and snacks. In the after-school program, if you are at Bates, they do also receive a snack after school before heading to that after-school programming.
Irv, do you want to say anything more about the food offerings that the students in elementary school receive, which would be the same that the pre-K and kindergarten students would receive?
Yes, the pre-K meals are age appropriate. So sometimes it will differ from the elementary school. And also all the students in Salem, they eat all meals for free. and there's no application needed. So you are present in school, you'll get that.
Okay, thank you. Another question, I want to direct this to Ms. Smith. There's a question here about, should a child be toilet trained prior to coming to one of our early childhood programs?
That's an excellent question, and the answer is no. Children come to us in all various stages of toilet training, so no need to be toilet trained.
Okay. There's a question here for Mr. Fonseca around or for Ms. Rogers about the Bentley Dual Language Program. Is there any regular Spanish second language instruction for kids who aren't in the dual language program? So that really would be to you, Mr. Fonseca. Are there opportunities for students to learn Spanish if they don't enroll in the dual language program?
Sorry, I was muted. I also texted an answer to that. And so dual language is the only option in the elementary school level. World language programs are available to students starting in middle school. We do hope to expand our world language programs to elementary schools in the future, but right now the dual language option at Bentley is the only option.
Great. Thank you for that answer. Can somebody just talk about the hours for the pre-K programs that we have right now? I don't know if that would be Ms. Smith or Ms. Carboni, just to talk about what the hours of the programs that we offer.
I can say for the pre-K programs at Bates and at Horace Mann, they run the same hours as the schools. So Gavin, can you say what your hours are, and then Ms. Windsor say what yours are?
Sure. So the academic hours are 7:45 to 1:40. We start letting students into the building at 7:15 and dismissal at 1:40.
Yep, and our hours are 7:50 to 1:55. And what we do, and I think Bates does the same thing, is we actually have the pre-K start about 10 minutes prior so that we don't have the cuts down on some of the busyness of having the pre-K families walk their students in at the same time as drop off. So we kind of shift that up by 10 minutes. So their day ends at 1:45, so a little bit earlier.
And at the Early Childhood Center, our full day hours are 8:45 to 2:50, and our half day hours are 8:45 to 12 o'clock.
And I do want to say, if you didn't get that down on paper, all the start and end times for all the schools can be accessed on the website, just so you know.
Okay. Great. There's some questions. There's a question here about the tours. Are the in-person school tours during the day or the evening?
So the tours they're during the day because we want to provide the opportunity for family members to see the school in action. I don't know if there's a principal that wants to kind of talk about a little bit about what a tour might look like at your school, maybe Ms. Jellison.
Sure. At Carleton, we take the families right at the beginning and we start and walk them through the whole building so that they can see where the cafeteria is, the lunchroom, all of the specialist places. We also take them into a kindergarten room, show them where the playground is, talk about what's happening in the K while we're there, showing them the different groups. We also walk them through the rest of the building. So as they get older, where they go to. And as we're walking, we also talk about the different programs that we have at school and how their child will be accommodated while they're at the school. It's nice to see the kids in the school when you come for the tour, because you get a really good feel about what's happening at the school and how the kids are, the teachers, how the staff and all the people that you run into. So it really is beneficial to be there while there are people in the building.
Ms. Jellison, while you're there and answering, I have a great question for you. What is an innovation school? And then that follow-up, this would be for Ms. Windsor. What is a laboratory school? Really good questions.
So an innovation school is through the Department of Ed. We actually applied for this 11 years ago. We're on our 11th year, and you go through the school, and it provides certain autonomies to the school that allows us to do something different if we feel that our school wants to. So we have a few autonomies at Carleton, one of them being the three times a year, we both transition kids and we have enrollment. So I know it wasn't mentioned earlier, but at Carleton, you can come in as a 5-year-old in November and March. So if you turn 5 after August 31st, you can be enrolled once you turn 5, either in November or March, as long as you're 5 years old. And those applications go in at the same time. So by March 20th, your application needs to be in to be considered for our November or our March enrollment. And so that's just one of our autonomies, is the different enrollment. Our students also move up to different cohorts throughout the year, just like the kindergarten enrollment. So kids move from our kindergarten cohort to 1st and 2nd grade in November and March as well, as long as they're ready. Those are some of the innovations we have in place. We also have a slightly different calendar, and some of our curriculum is a little bit different, and that is through the innovation plan that we have created for our school.
Ms. Windsor, do you want to talk about laboratory school?
Yeah, definitely. The reason it's called the lab school is because the school originally was founded as part of Salem State, and it was on the Salem State campus, and it was a lab school for aspiring teachers where they would go and train. Now, at this time, we're no longer on the Salem State grounds. However, we still continue that partnership, and one aspect of that is that we have teachers in training, we call them fellows, who work out of our school, and that they provide, they're such an excellent extra set of hands in the classroom, and they're excellent teachers as well.
There's a question here about before school care. I'm not aware that anybody has before school care, unless I'm wrong. I know parents will look at the start and end times of the school, and some of our schools start earlier than others and adjust their schedule. But are there any before school programs that I'm missing for parents that want to drop their children off before school starts? Taylor, I see you nodding no, or shaking your head no.
Yeah, correct. No.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So parents then will look at to see when the start and end times are to make decisions that work with their schedule. Okay. Let's see. Question. There's a couple questions about Aspen. We may want to get information if people have trouble with their login to the Aspen site. Who should we direct them to, or is there a place that they can go to get assistance?
There's a phone number right where parents start doing their registration. If they have any trouble, they call that number, and the IT department will help them either set up the account or reset their password.
And I will post a link to that in the Q&A.
Okay. And if they have a child that's already enrolled in the system, my guess is that when the new child is enrolled, they'll be attached to the same Aspen profile.
That's correct.
Okay. There was Taylor, this is a question for you. Do we have any programs, summer programs for kindergarten students?
We do have some strong community partners, but as of right now, the district doesn't run any programs like SBS programs for kindergarten students, but yeah, we do have some strong community partners with the YMCA and Salem Community Childcare.
Okay. I think this question would be for Ms. Carboni or Ms. Smith, but what percentage of applicants to the pre-K program get a full day spot for pre-K?
So I'll just say that all of our pre-K seats are full day seats. And I'm gonna have Ms. Race fact check me on this, but I believe that all of our we didn't have a wait list, that we were able to place all students last year. Is that correct?
That is correct. The waiting list happened after families applied in the second batch. Anyone that applied in the first batch, and also I believe also second batch, they were all placed at one of the 3 preschools or pre-K programs.
Okay, there's a few questions here about the ECC, Ms. Smith. Does ECC offer 3 half-days, or does it have to be 5 days?
It does need to be 5 days for consistency's sake with the learning and the curriculum.
Okay, and if a child's already at the ECC in a pre-K program, and they are not old enough to go to kindergarten, are they automatically guaranteed a spot for next year?
Yes, so all students that are in our preschool, our 3-year-old program right now, are guaranteed a spot in our 4-year-old program next year.
Okay, there was another question here. No, I just lost here we go. If a child's already registered, the question is, we had to register our child in advance of an evaluation by the special education department at the ECC. Do we need to register again or just submit our school choice?
They would just submit their school choice, especially if they have all the documents, if they submitted all the documents for the referral or the evaluation. We would go in and check to make sure that all the required documents are uploaded.
Okay. Let's see. There's a question here about twins, Ms. Reyes. I have twins. How can I ensure that they will attend the same school?
They will. We assign them together. We would not want to separate any siblings, no.
Okay, let me see. Is the curriculum for pre-K the same for all 3 programs?
Yes, the answer to that is yes. We use the 3 cheers for pre-K across all of our sites. So there is consistency with that.
And I'm just going to add to that we have 2 coaches who work with our pre-K teachers across all of the pre-K classrooms. So it's a nice, consistent program.
And when she says coaches, we mean instructional coaches. Those are experienced teachers who go into the classroom and work with the classroom teachers to implement the curriculum and use it with consistency across all the sites.
Okay. There's a question about the flexibility of the curriculum in general and what school offers the most flexible curriculum. Ms. Richardson, I don't know if you want to take that question.
So I think we do look for consistency across the district because we want to make sure that all children are receiving the same opportunities. However, teachers, particularly at the pre-K level, are really dialed into the students who are sitting in front of them. And there is lots of flexibility in terms of how they adjust the curriculum and the kinds of activities that they might choose, and the way that they might deliver the lessons. And, a lot of it is play-based. A lot of it is hands-on. They have, stores that they can set up. They have play kitchens. They have water tables. So they have all kinds of different activities that are hands-on, but they do relate to the curriculum.
Okay. Anybody else on curriculum? All right, Ms. Reyes, I have a few questions about the assignment process. Can you review the criteria for selection in order of priority again?
Of course. The first priority is the sibling preference. Then it's school choice, whatever schools the parent chose. looking at the socioeconomic balance. And then we take into consideration proximity.
Okay, so one, and then piggybacking off of that, there was a question here about somebody who lives on Bridge Street Neck, is living there as a disadvantage because Bentley is a dual language, and there's only one other elementary school in close proximity.
And the question is?
If we have only one child, no siblings, will proximity really be the fourth priority for consideration?
Proximity is more like a tiebreaker, or to create a waiting list.
Mm-hmm.
And
So it's not, yeah, go ahead.
The
Andre.
family is also welcome to apply for dual language if they're interested in that. We do accept students from English speaking backgrounds as well, if that's an interest that they have.
Great, thank you. There's a question here about seats in kindergarten at Bates Elementary School. Mr. Softik, can you tell us how many seats you have available in kindergarten?
This in terms of next year would be about 63 seats, 21 per classroom.
Thank you. Okay, there's a question here, and this I'll give this to a principal maybe who we haven't heard from, maybe Miss Carmona or Mr. Lister, but there's a question here about school security. What measures are taken to keep children safe in schools?
I could get the ball rolling, I guess.
Sure.
Well, so first off, we have a school safety team at each building, and it would be made up of members of the school-based team, principal, assistant principal, nurse, counselors. At our school, and much like other schools, there are different types of emergency events. This wouldn't be the day-to-day, but a crisis type situation, we all have roles. And we review them. We work really closely with the Salem Police and Fire throughout the year. If it's, God forbid, it's an active shooter event or something serious like that, we do train regularly, and we consult with them. We practice and we do drills, and we use appropriate content for different ages. We're not in the business of scaring children, but we are in the business of preparing for situations that we need to be ready for.
I think we lost you, Mr. Lister. Oh,
On the day-to-day. Can you hear me?
now we can.
On the day-to-day, most of our schools have exterior cameras on every door. Each building is different. I do have some security features like bars on lower windows in some places. All of our doors are locked all day long as a practice.
Okay, I think he's frozen. Ms. Carmona, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, just the same, that there are cameras. Nobody is allowed in schools, and they are beeped in with a welcome with our school secretaries. Secretaries have to see them, so there's cameras on the front doors. And then they have to go directly to the front office. So every staff member holds a special pass to be able to unlock doors, and that's the only way to get in. So our schools are very safe. On the flip side, though, we also want families to come visit. So that way we always make sure that there's direct communication between teachers in schools and families so that you can come in and visit with your child and teachers.
Great. Just a question I'll take here is that what is the cost for pre-K or for aftercare? We do not charge anything for our pre-K after school programs or to attend preschool or any of our early childhood programs. In the past, there was a charge, but over the last 2 years, we phased that out. And so the advantage of being a resident of Salem is that you have access to these programs for free. So I just want to be clear about that. Ms. Reyes, I have a couple questions for you. What is the maximum class size for pre-K and kindergarten?
It's between 18 and 21. The max would be 21 in a classroom.
And that's the same.
But for pre-K, it's 18.
And for pre-K at the Early Childhood Center, it's 15 because it's integrated.
That's right. And for the non-ECC classrooms, it is 18.
18.
pre-K, and then 21 for kindergarten across the district. Okay. Ms. Reyes, another question is, how is socioeconomic status determined? How do you determine what bucket a student would go in around socioeconomic programming?
That is based on the questions that we ask when parents register online. There are questions that that you will answer, and basically, if you are receiving support services, agency services, you'll be considered a low-income family. We also have the guidelines, the federal guidelines. And if you choose to give us your income information, we'll calculate whether you qualify for low income status or not.
Dr. Sorry, can I go back to one of the previous questions? I do want to qualify for kindergarten and our dual language. Those classrooms are capped at 25. So there are different thresholds.
Great. Ms. Reyes, just another question for you. If a child does not get their first choice, what happens?
If we can't give you your first choice, we go to your second option. If you apply within the first batch, it's very likely that you'll get one of your three choices.
And if you do not get your first choice,
then the child will be placed on the waiting list and assigned to the next school.
Okay.
The next choice.
So it is possible that if you don't get your first choice, maybe you're assigned to your second choice, you would be put on a wait list, so that if there is room, you could then move your child to the first choice if it becomes available.
That's correct. And that would be an automatic placement on the waiting list.
Okay. Great. Taylor, there's a question here about, can you talk a little bit about how after school works for kindergartners?
Yes, so each elementary school has a state licensed after school program available in partnership with either the YMCA or Boys and Girls Club. And those are coordinated through those community partners. But as mentioned, we have a good relationship and a City Connects coordinator at all of our schools who can help navigate that process for families.
And in kindergarten, is there a charge? There is no charge in pre-K. Is there a charge in kindergarten?
So with the community partner programs, the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club, there is a charge for the programs, but there's opportunity for scholarship and sliding scales.
Okay. And if parents have questions about the after-school care, should they direct them to you, Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Ms. Smith, is there sibling preference for ECC?
There is, that's actually a really good question. For the 3-year-old, I do not believe that there is sibling preference at the ECC.
Except that I would say we really want to work with families so they do not have to keep their siblings apart. So
yeah, I think we do have, it's because it's just 2 years that they're there, 3 years old and 4-year-olds. It really doesn't happen that often. And this year we do have a couple of siblings, but they came in, through the lottery, and there was, there wasn't a need to look at sibling preference, but that's a conversation I would have later with Kate, I think, just to confirm, or with you.
Yeah, and we want to do everything we can to not separate siblings. So if you do happen, it's not common, as Ms. Smith said, to have to have two children at, but it does happen, and we
Right.
will work with you so that you won't have to separate your children.
Yeah,
I
thank
think, can I just say, I think what would be helpful if there is a situation like that, that the family member, reach out to the Parent Information Center to notify Sayonara that that's the case, so that we know we have a case like that and we can work with the family.
And I would likely know that as well. So it would likely be a conversation that, that parent could also come to me, and I would, like I said, I'm likely aware of our incoming siblings.
Okay. Ms. Smith, this question is for you as well. Is there evaluation criteria specifically for ECC and diagnose children for readiness for kindergarten?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think it sounds like there's a couple of questions in there. There is an evaluation process if there's a suspected learning disability and a student is coming in based into the program for the special education component of the program. That would be a pretty substantial evaluation process that the child would go through. But all children do at the Early Childhood Center and at Bates and Horace Mann, we do have a screening process that's called MyIGDs, which is a very basic, takes about a half hour or so for students to be screened. It looks at basic letters and numbers and some very basic skills, physical, large motor, fine motor skills that all students entering, but it's not like a pass fail kind of thing. You don't have to qualify or not qualify. It's just gives us a very baseline idea of where your child is at.
Okay, can someone talk a little bit about the kindergarten screening process, and does it happen during the registration process or once they are in school?
I think I'll pitch that one to Amy.
So we've done it different ways in the past. All of the children who attend one of our preschool programs or one of our partner preschool programs get a lot of the screening done in the spring before the end of the school year, using that tool Leanne was mentioning, MyIGDs, plus some other things. And there's information, questionnaires that are sent home to parents to find out a little bit more about the children. And then there's time sort of at the end of the year and then at the beginning of the year, usually, to screen any children who we haven't been able to reach yet. And we can even continue that once the school year starts.
And Andre, do you want to talk about the screening your team does?
Yep, so we do language evaluations. So anytime a family indicates that they speak a language other than English or English and another language, then we do a language screening called the WIDA screener for that student to determine their English language proficiency and to determine whether or not they would qualify for multilingual learner services. So any student that is not fully proficient in English, as that screener would indicate, would be eligible to receive those services, and any student that scores high enough, signifying that they don't require those services, wouldn't be eligible. So that's just one of the ways that we provide services for students that don't have full proficiency in English yet.
Thank you. We're down to a few questions. I think these will be our last 3 or 4 questions here. Can one of our school leaders speak to what is the adult to child ratio in pre-K?
I can speak to that. If it can speak to it at the Early Childhood Center. The adult child ratio is we have 15 students in each classroom. We have 1 teacher, and in most classrooms we have 2 assistant teachers. So the ratio is 3 adults to 15 students. I can let Gavin let Gavin or Jen speak, or I can speak to.
Why don't we pass it along to one of them?
Sure.
So at Bates, we have the 2 classrooms, we have 18 each, so 36 students with 1 classroom teacher, 1 para. We also have another para that floats between the 2 programs. So 36 kids, 5 staff members. Someone else can do the math for me.
But there are 18 kids in the classroom. There's a full-time pre-K teacher
Yep.
and a full-time para in each of the 2 classrooms with 18 kids. And then there's one para that kind of floats in between. So
Yep.
it's really an 18-to-2 ratio with an additional floating para professional.
Okay, Irv, there's a question here about the nutrition program. Are you able to handle food allergies?
Yes, our staff, all our staff, head cooks, they are trained in food allergens. And we also have we just had like 13 staff also trained in food allergies. So we're well equipped to handle all type of food allergies.
Okay, thank you. This is I think we want to be very clear because this question has come up a number of times. If a child enrolled in pre-K currently, will the parent be contacted about their kindergarten application, or do they have to proactively come to apply for kindergarten?
Like I said before, I will be emailing all the parents that have preschoolers enrolled. There will be a link in which parents can choose 3 different schools. They can contact me if they'd like to do that. They can contact me, but I plan on emailing each parent that has a preschool enrolled.
When should they expect that, Ms. Reyes, roughly?
By the end of next week.
Okay, great, thank you. And a question here for Carlton. Is the registration process different for Carlton because they do trimesters?
The registration process isn't different. It's just the time frame of when they are enrolled. So if they want to be enrolled for November or March, their application process has to go through this year. So they would follow the same process. They just wouldn't be notified until the end of September, beginning of October for the November start, and the beginning of February, or more like the middle of February for the March start.
Okay, I want to take a moment here just to talk about our dual language program, because there's a question here. I think just to note, we're very fortunate in Salem to have a dual language program, which is an asset-based program that helps, it's a great advantage for students to be bilingual, biliterate, bicultural. And I didn't know, there's a question here, maybe I'll direct that to Ms. Rogers. Is the dual language program geared towards children who speak Spanish primarily, or can children who only speak English enroll to expand their opportunity to learn Spanish?
Thank you. No, the program's goal is that students are bilingual, biliterate in both English and Spanish, and we serve Spanish speakers, English speakers, and speakers of other languages. So we welcome all students to the program. We try to balance the classes so that we have similar amounts of native English speakers, native Spanish speakers. So everyone is welcome.
Great. Mr. Fonseca, did you want to say anything else about dual language?
Yep, there's actually 2 dual language questions that are kind of connected to that. And Liz, feel free to add on to the answers that I gave. One of the questions was, can you select Bentley as your choice and not participate in the dual language program? And so the answer, of course, is that all kindergarten programs at Bentley are dual language programs. And next year, only grades 3, 4, and 5 will have non-dual language classrooms. All other grades will have only dual language classrooms. And then, and then the second question, I'm just scrolling down to it, about dual language that we had a chance to answer earlier. Just one second.
Yeah, I would just, while he's looking for that, I would just encourage parents, if you have any interest, to take a look at the Bentley program, because it is not something that most communities have anywhere in the area. It's something very unique to Salem. So just want to put a plug in for taking a tour and checking out what we have to offer there.
Definitely. So this final question is very similar to what Liz said earlier. The question was, so for dual language, the parents don't have to be Spanish speakers for children to succeed. And I said, absolutely not. Our program model is based on students becoming bilingual and biliterate in English and Spanish, regardless of their language background or their family language background. Like Liz said, we accept students that speak Spanish as their first language, students that speak English as their first language, and students that speak other languages as their first language, such as Portuguese, Arabic, any other language that you can imagine. Every student, regardless of their different language backgrounds, they're an asset to our school, and they can all participate, and they can all be a part of becoming fully bilingual and biliterate in English and in Spanish at Bentley.
Thank you very much. Ms. Morrissey or Nurse Morrissey, you wanted to make a follow up on the allergy question.
Yes, thank you, Steve. I just wanted to mention that parents of children who have allergies, especially if they're life-threatening allergies to food or any other substances, are encouraged to indicate that information on the intake forms that you'll fill out when you register your child, and include a copy of your child's allergy plan from your physician when you submit their physical examinations. The school nurse at your child's placement will reach out to you during the registration or the placement process, just to make sure that you understand what information we will need to care for your kid at school. And then the other thing you should know is that school nurses provide a list to the food services personnel in our buildings, which give them information about different nutritional restrictions or food allergies in the school, so that they have the heads up when they're serving the meals to our students. And we also share that information to staff members who work closely with your child. We create an emergency care plan that is shared across the building with any specialist or classroom personnel who work with your child, so that they know. And finally, just to let you know, we strongly discourage families sending in food that's for celebrations. And we just serve the food that is prepared by our food services personnel, so that we know that it's safe for your children.
I believe Ms. Espinal put one question here about supports for multilingual learners.
Okay.
Yep, so I'll go ahead and answer that. And that's a very good point, so that every single school in the district does have support for our students that are multilingual learners, and have multilingual learner teachers that provide English language development for those students. So no matter what school you choose, students will receive either dual language at Bentley, if that's the school that they pick, or they'll receive the model that we consider sheltered English instruction mixed with ELD or English language development instruction. Those are supports that students get in every single school, no matter what school you pick.
Thank you, Mr. Fonseca. Final question is a Carlton question. Are there fewer spaces open for fall entry? And will students need to enter in March to be guaranteed a space?
Not necessarily. It all depends on the year. We have 21 spots for each class that we have, and depending on when students move to the new cohort is when we can determine how many spots we have. Usually in the fall, it's a much bigger number that we have available, but it's definitely not 42 spots.
Okay, great. Well, that concludes the question and answer period. Thank you for the fantastic questions we received, and I'm sure you will have a million more through the process. It's only normal and natural to have many questions about a big step in your child's education and their life. We will be, this is the beginning of the process, and there's a lot of information available on our website. You'll get a tremendous amount of information through our tours and to the conversations you'll have with our school leaders. And again, I'll reiterate how important it is to find the right match for your child through the multitude of programs that we have. But we're confident that we'll be strong partners with you and support you on your journey. It's an exciting time to be part of the Salem Public Schools. It's a very dynamic school system in a dynamic city, and we are excited about getting to know you and your family. Whether you already have a child in the system, we want to get to know your new child who will be joining us. And if you're brand new, welcome. Please do not hesitate to reach out to any of the people here. We will certainly get back to you. While the Parent Information Center has the majority of the information, if there's specific questions about nursing, about food services, about transportation, or if you want to contact myself or our deputy superintendent, feel free to reach out and we are ready to support you. So again, we appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight, and we look forward to getting to know you better in the coming months, weeks, and years in the Salem Public Schools. Have a wonderful night, everybody. I hope it's not snowing. I'm glad we did this virtually, so people didn't have to be driving in the inclement weather. And good night, and thank you very much.